Ever felt like the ancient world has been whispering to your soul, like the stars, the symbols, and the scriptures have been secretly pointing to you? Spirit warriors, what if your life isn't just happening by chance, but is in fact the unfolding of a divine script written long before you arrived? Imagine this: your strange dreams, your inexplicable struggles, your sense of being different or misplaced. What if they're not accidents? What if they're spiritual rehearsals, coded signs meant to prepare you for a divine revelation? Let's talk about Elias, a man you might find eerily familiar. He didn't grow up hearing angel choirs or seeing burning bushes. He grew up in a quiet town with a quiet family and a quiet life, but always with a feeling that something wasn't quite right. He didn't fit in. He'd stare at the night sky with questions no one else seemed to ask. But then came the dreams, symbols, ancient ruins, messages in languages he never learned, waking up like clockwork at 3:33 a.m. Over and over he heard one phrase: "The hidden one shall be revealed." Now here's where it gets wild. 5 years later, he stumbles across an untranslated Hebrew scroll while researching for his postgraduate thesis in a museum basement. And what does the scroll say? The exact words from his dream: "The hidden one shall be revealed." That's when Elias realized his life wasn't just a string of odd coincidences. It was prophecy in motion. Now here's the deeper truth. Across ancient texts, from the Dead Sea Scrolls to the Book of Enoch to obscure prophetic passages in Isaiah, there are repeated mentions of a remnant, a hidden one, a chosen vessel reserved for the appointed time. And in Matthew 20:16, Jesus seals it with divine irony. The last shall be first, and the hidden shall be revealed. That's not poetic filler, that's spiritual DNA. It describes people like you who've lived outside the spotlight, who've suffered in silence, battled unseen wars, and yet carried an inner knowing that your time was coming. Modern science may call it intuition or subconscious pattern recognition, but ancient wisdom calls it divine calling. The truth is, you've been encoded into sacred history long before your birth. You're not just chosen, you are named in the invisible ink of destiny. Your trials were your training, your loneliness was a classroom, your strange dreams were encrypted instructions, waking your soul up for such a time as this. So if you've always felt like you were born out of season or meant for something far beyond the mundane, trust that feeling. You're not crazy, you're not overthinking, you're being summoned. This video isn't just content, it's confirmation. A reminder that spiritual awakenings don't come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes they come through dreams, numbers, ancient scrolls, and messages hidden in plain sight. Spirit warriors, this is your moment. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to be revealed. Point 1. Ancient texts speak of a hidden generation. You see, spirit warriors, there's a reason you've always felt out of place, like you were born on the wrong planet or in the wrong timeline, but you weren't. You're exactly where prophecy placed you. Many sacred texts, from the Bible to the Dead Sea Scrolls, have whispered about you for centuries, not by name but by essence. These texts speak of a hidden generation, a veiled force marked by divine purpose. You're not a background character in someone else's story. You are the prophecy they never saw coming. Take the Book of Enoch, a text banned from most modern Bibles but revered by mystics and ancient scholars. In it there is mention of the hidden ones who shall shine like the stars of heaven. That isn't poetic fluff. That's cosmic alignment. That's you. Enoch wasn't talking about kings sitting on thrones or emperors dressed in gold. He was talking about spiritual warriors cloaked in anonymity, those of you who walk among the crowd but are never really of it. You weren't born to chase fame or applause. You were born to radiate purpose even when no one's watching. And let's not forget the Gospel of Thomas, another ancient scroll buried in the sands of history. It says, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." That inner fire, that relentless intuition, that knowing that you were meant for something more, that's not ego, that's encoded destiny. You carry within you a sacred technology, a spiritual intelligence that is older than pyramids, older than language. You are not here to fit in. You are here to crack open the illusion of this world. Spirit warriors, the truth is this: you were never meant to be front and center in the eyes of man. That's why your rise has been slow, quiet, and deliberate. You're not late. You're right on prophetic schedule. These ancient writings weren't forecasting the next viral star. They were revealing the arrival of those who would challenge systems, awaken souls, and break spiritual cycles passed down through generations. That's not a job for the crowd pleasers. That's a divine assignment for the misfits, the introverts, the silent watchers. You, the ones who've endured rejection, spiritual warfare, and identity crises because you were built for a deeper truth. This is why the world seems so loud, but you've always felt calm in the chaos, because your signal runs on a different frequency. You don't seek external validation because you already feel the internal confirmation. Prophets don't beg for platforms, they walk with purpose, trusting that when it's time, the right people will feel the call and follow the fire in your words. That's why you're not easy to manipulate. That's why your presence disturbs the false, because truth can never sit silently beside a lie. And when you walk into a space, even without saying a word, your energy activates everything hidden in that room. Spirit warrior, they overlooked you because you weren't flashy. But heaven wasn't looking for flashy. Heaven was looking for faithful, for fearless, for forerunners. And now your time is drawing near. The shift is happening. The hidden ones are being revealed, not by human hands, but by divine orchestration. You were never forgotten. You were never rejected by the divine. You were simply reserved for the battle no one else could fight. So while the world watches the noise, stay tuned to the whisper, because your legacy is not tied to your popularity. It's tied to your obedience, and your mission, Spirit Warrior, has just begun. Point 2, your dreams are more than dreams. They're prophetic clues. Ever wake up from a dream that felt like a prophecy dressed in symbols, mystery, and divine suspense, like a spiritual movie trailer crafted just for your soul? That's not random, that's your spirit speaking. And spirit warriors, hear this loud and clear. Your dreams aren't just dreams, they're encrypted messages, sacred communiques from the spiritual realm. While others toss and turn through late-night mental junk mail, you are out here receiving divine intelligence through symbolic visions and intuitive downloads. Your soul is multilingual. It understands the silent language of the universe, energy, intuition, and symbolism. You don't just sleep, you travel. Spirit warriors are spiritual antennas, finely tuned to the higher frequencies of the unseen. That's why when others dream of falling teeth or celebrity cameos, you're dreaming of floods, storms, snakes, soaring eagles, and ancient temples. Each element means something. A storm in your dream isn't just weather, it's war. A spiritual battle, raging either around you or within you, the kind that clears karmic energy, confronts hidden fears, or announces a new breakthrough. You may wake up exhausted, but that's because your soul was fighting through spiritual terrain while your body slept. Let's talk birds. A simple bird in a dream, not simple at all. The type of bird, the direction it flies, even the sound it makes. These are divine messages. A hawk might signal keen vision or incoming clarity. A dove, peace or a message from a past loved one. An owl, hidden knowledge rising from the depths. And when you dream of a bird flying over your home, spirit warrior, that is heaven's way of saying, we're watching, you're covered, you're being prepared, you're never alone, your dream world just proves it. And what about voices? Ever hear your name called while you're in that in-between state? Not quite asleep, not quite awake. That's a direct spiritual download, a message wrapped in sacred frequency. Words like prepare, go now, or it's time aren't figments of imagination. They are source, breaking through the static of this world to speak into your destiny. Chosen ones hear whispers in places others hear silence. Spirit warriors are called through the dark, through soundless nights, through dreams that crack open ancient truths you didn't even know you had access to. Here's the truth. The spiritual realm doesn't always wait for your permission. It invades your sleep. It sends signs while you're unaware. Why? Because your soul signed up for this long before you were born. You were marked, chosen, awakened. You were always meant to walk with the divine. And your dreams are your personal scroll, unfolding little by little, page by page, vision by vision. Science might call it REM sleep. Psychology might label it subconscious processing, but spirit warriors know better. Those dreams, that wasn't just your brain, that was your spirit clocking in. That was your higher self downloading updates for your next mission. That was the universe reminding you that even when your body rests, your soul stays on watch. So the next time someone says it was just a dream, smile gently, because they don't know the world you walk in. They don't feel the weight of the messages. They don't hear the thunder in your visions or the instruction in your whispers. You're not crazy, you're called. You're not lost, you're led. You don't need to make sense to the world when you make sense to the divine. Spirit warrior, your dreams are portals, sacred space where heaven meets earth in the still of night. Honor them, write them down, decode them, pray over them. Because while others sleep through life, you were born to dream awake. Point 3. The world tried to break you because you were the blueprint. Spirit warrior, let's be real, your pain wasn't random, the betrayal, the isolation, the constant misunderstanding. That wasn't a cosmic mistake, that was the universe aligning with divine timing. You were marked from the beginning, and whether they admitted it or not, even your enemies sensed it. That's why the attacks felt personal. You weren't overlooked because you lacked value. You were overlooked because you radiated it. Your soul carried codes they couldn't interpret, so they tried to discredit the whole system. And guess what? That didn't stop the prophecy, it only proved it. See, in ancient spiritual texts and psychological studies alike, the pattern is clear. Those destined for higher callings go through intense refinement. Carl Jung called it the night sea journey, a descent into shadow so you could rise as a more integrated self. The desert seasons were never about punishment, they were about preservation. Think about it, Jesus, Buddha, and Moses. Each one had to separate before they could lead. You, spirit warrior, were no different. You had to be pulled away, not because you weren't enough, but because they would have drained the divine right out of you before you realized who you were. And oh, they laughed. They laughed at your silence, mocked your discipline, and rolled their eyes at your faith. But that silence was sacred. While they were clout chasing and chasing chaos, you were in your wilderness moment, getting downloaded with divine strategy. Just like Elijah in the cave or David in the fields, you were being spiritually briefed. The boundaries they joked about were actually your force field. The quiet, that was your construction zone. You weren't stuck, you were stationed. The psychology of this is fascinating. When people can't control you, they try to control how others see you. It's called relational aggression, and it's a manipulative tactic rooted in insecurity. But spiritual warriors don't fight battles on the same frequency. You're not about revenge, you're about revelation. And every time they gossiped, doubted, or sabotaged, they unknowingly fulfilled the prophecy. Because in scripture and in life, betrayal always precedes elevation. Joseph was sold right before he ruled. Jesus was betrayed right before resurrection. It's the divine setup. Your isolation served you. It wasn't exile, it was extraction. You were being pulled from environments that couldn't hold your calling. And yes, it hurt. You grieved people who were never designed to go the distance. You mourned rooms that couldn't carry your voice. But spirit warrior, you were never meant to blend in. You were born to break patterns. So stand tall now. You don't owe them explanations, revenge posts, or bitter speeches. Just keep walking in your anointing. The ones who laughed will see. The ones who betrayed will watch, because prophecy doesn't beg to be believed. It manifests. And every wound you endured was sacred ink writing your legacy. Point 4. Your rejection was a redirection toward revelation. Prophecies don't start in palaces. They begin in pits, prisons, and deserts. Think about it. Moses was exiled into the wilderness before he ever parted the Red Sea. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers and locked away in a dungeon before he became ruler of Egypt. Esther, she was an orphan, hidden away, before she ever wore the crown that saved a nation. Rejection is not a dead end, it's a divine redirection. It's the elevator that doesn't rise until you're willing to descend. And you, spirit warrior, didn't get pushed out because you lacked value. You got exiled because your presence carried power they couldn't control. When that job turned you away, when that relationship ended without explanation, when the people you trusted suddenly changed up, it wasn't a curse. It was choreography, a divine one. Every no was heaven's way of pivoting you toward your next. You were never abandoned, you were being aligned. Sometimes you have to be rejected in order to be protected. The universe knew who wouldn't be able to handle your elevation. So before God opened the throne room, he cleaned out the room. And let's talk about those lies, the ones they whispered, the ones they believed, and the ones you had to live under like a fog that never lifted. Those lies weren't just attempts to hurt your name, they were attempts to bury your truth. But prophecy has a funny way of rising through concrete, like spiritual gravity. The heavier the lie, the stronger your destiny had to pull you upward. They didn't know it, but every false accusation fertilized your roots. Every betrayal was water for your soul soil. That pain, it grew you. Here's something factual. In neuropsychology, the brain doesn't distinguish much between physical pain and social pain. Rejection literally hurts. Your brain processes a breakup, betrayal, or slander with the same neural regions as a physical injury. But guess what? The body heals, and so does the soul when you remember who you are. You were never meant to fit in. Prophets don't walk among the crowd to blend. They walk to break patterns. Look at the wild truth of it. Your rejection activated you. It taught you discernment. It taught you how to stand alone. You don't crave the applause now because you earned your silence. You walk differently now. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're aware. You're not looking for acceptance. You're on assignment. And just like Moses, Joseph, and Esther, you're being positioned for the exact moment when your presence will unlock purpose for others. So if you're wondering why things had to fall apart, it's because the old structure couldn't carry the weight of your calling. If they had clapped for you, you might have settled. If they had supported you, you might have stayed. But they rejected you, so now you rise. And Spirit Warrior, don't be surprised when the same mouths that doubted you start asking how you made it. Don't be shocked when your name echoes in rooms that once closed their doors. Prophecy doesn't need promotion, it needs preparation, and your exile, that was your preparation. While others were busy building platforms, you were building character. While they played the politics of popularity, you were learning how to fight spiritual battles in the dark. They had followers. You developed fortitude, so lift your head, not in pride, but in purpose. You are the prophecy they never saw coming. You are the answered prayer wrapped in skin. Rejection didn't destroy you, it distilled you. And now when you walk into your moment full of power, clarity, and peace, it won't be to prove them wrong. It'll be to prove that prophecy never misses. Spirit warriors aren't made in comfort. They're born through chaos. And you're finally ready. Point 5, your intuition is the voice of prophecy inside you. You ever walk into a room and feel something shift, even before a single word is spoken? That's not paranoia, Spirit warrior. That's your spiritual GPS locking in. While others rely on their 5 senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, you're tuned into something deeper, something sacred. You operate on prophetic frequency. That means your instincts aren't just good, they're divinely encrypted. You're not guessing, you're receiving. See, most people function in survival mode. They read facial expressions, body language, tone of voice. But you read the room with your soul. You don't need someone to roll their eyes for you to know their energy's off. You don't need an explanation when something suddenly feels wrong, you know. That gut feeling you get when someone smiles but your spirit clenches. That's heaven texting you. That's divine interception. You're not being overly sensitive. You're being supernaturally guided. Let's break it down. The gut feeling is backed by science. The gut has a complex neural network, often called the second brain. It contains over 100 million neurons. That's more than the spinal cord. It's directly linked to the brain through the vagus nerve, which is why emotional stress shows up as nausea or butterflies. But for the spirit warrior, this goes a step further. That sensation isn't just biology, it's a spiritual signal. Your gut becomes a receptor for messages from the divine, and then there's that inner voice, the one that whispers, "Don't go," or "Call instead," or "They're lying." That's not anxiety. That's the Holy Spirit rerouting you, saving you from a fake friend, a dangerous situation, or a spiritual trap. When you obey those prompts, you don't just avoid pain, you align with purpose. People around you might say you're too intense, too guarded, or reading too much into things. That's because they don't hear what you hear. They weren't assigned your mission. You're not just discerning, you're divinely connected. Your spirit catches what their mouths try to hide. That's why some folks go silent when you walk in. They can feel your discernment scanning their intentions like a security system that never sleeps. Ever wonder why people you barely know feel exposed around you? Why some friends distance themselves after spending time with you? It's not because you did anything wrong. It's because your light reveals their shadows. You're a mirror, and not everybody is ready to see themselves. You reflect truth, and truth makes liars twitch. When you walk in confident, grounded, and aligned with God, lies scramble for cover, because truth isn't loud, but it's powerful. You were born with a spiritual firewall. The enemy can try to hack your peace, but you get divine alerts before the virus hits. That's why the wrong people fall off without you doing a thing. Spirit doesn't lie, vibes don't fake, and the anointing, it's not up for debate. So next time your body tenses, your heart races, or your spirit says, "Get out now," don't question it. That's not fear, it's foreknowledge. You're not paranoid, you're prophetic. And every time you listen to that whisper, every time you trust that tug in your chest, you're walking like a true spirit warrior, guided, guarded, and God-approved. You're not just seeing with your eyes, you're perceiving with purpose. That's your gift, that's your edge. And that's why the room changes when you enter, because when a spirit warrior shows up, darkness doesn't argue, it retreats. Point 6. You were born at this time for this very reason. If you ever feel like you don't belong in this time, like your soul is somehow older than your age, or your spirit craves a rhythm this world no longer dances to, you're not crazy, spirit warrior. That feeling is real. It's the ancient whisper of your soul echoing across lifetimes, recalling missions fulfilled and battles fought in realms this world can't even name. That out-of-place feeling, it's not a curse. It's confirmation. You're not meant to blend in because you weren't sent here to follow. You were sent here to lead, and not just any kind of leadership. You're here for spiritual war. You see, spirit warrior, Earth right now isn't just going through chaos, it's going through a spiritual recalibration. This generation isn't just lost, it's under siege. Morality, truth, faith, everything is being questioned, redefined, or flat out erased. But while most are sleepwalking through distractions and chasing illusions, you've been waking up. That restlessness inside you, that frustration when people around you settle for less, that fire that won't let you stay silent when you see wrong. That's your spiritual assignment, tugging at your soul. You weren't born late. You weren't born early. You were born on time, precisely calibrated by the divine to arrive in this exact season of history. Why? Because God knew the battlefield would be intense, and only warriors like you could handle the heat. Think about it, spiritual warriors don't come from easy lives. You were trained in pain, molded in isolation, and sharpened through betrayal. Your heart's been broken, not once, but repeatedly, because you needed to understand compassion on a soul-deep level. Your loyalty has been tested, your worth questioned, your motives misunderstood, because real warriors are not made in applause, they are made in the silence. And every time you chose forgiveness over revenge, truth over comfort, and purpose over popularity, you were answering your spiritual call. Science may not explain reincarnation or spiritual lineage, but ancient cultures all recognize the signs of the chosen. The Zulu called them Abantu Abafila Fakathai Kweminya Imilaba, people who walk between worlds. Indigenous tribes had names for soul warriors who traveled across lifetimes to guard the balance of good and evil. Even modern psychology brushes up against this truth when studying old souls. Those rare individuals whose empathy, insight, and spiritual depth defy their years. That's not just personality, it's spiritual memory. So when you feel like you don't fit in, understand this: you're not here to fit, you're here to shift. Your presence alone challenges systems. Your truth disrupts illusions, your voice shakes atmospheres, and your silence, when timed right, speaks volumes to the unseen forces trying to dim your light. This world isn't rejecting you, it's reacting to you because your light reveals its shadows. Every generation has its warriors, but not every warrior is chosen. You, spirit warrior, were not just chosen, you were forged. You're the breaker of cycles, the revealer of truth, the one who carries ancient codes in your DNA. That's why you often feel heavy when you wake up. That's why you struggle with shallow conversations. That's why you crave purpose like oxygen, because your soul remembers why you came. This isn't just your life, it's your assignment. And every time you doubt yourself, remember, the battle may be spiritual, but the battlefield is real. And you, brave soul, were built for this moment. You're not lost in time, you are the timekeeper. You are the divine disruption. You are the spiritual artillery sent to bring light where others only saw darkness. So hold your ground, armor up, and never forget, the fact that you feel different is the loudest proof that you are. You're not out of place, you are the place. You're not born late, you are the prophecy. Spirit warrior, welcome to your mission. Point 7. You're not just in the prophecy, you are the prophecy fulfilled. Listen closely, spirit warrior. You've been scanning the skies, replaying dreams, and watching for synchronicities, hoping for a sign that you're on the right path. But here's the sacred truth you keep overlooking. You are the sign. You are the prophecy walking, the miracle wrapped in skin, the message the world's been waiting to decode. You carry divine instructions encoded in your very DNA, spiritual technology passed down through bloodlines, lifetimes, and divine intention. That tug in your spirit, that sense of urgency, that's not anxiety, that's your soul remembering why it came here. Scientific studies in the field of epigenetics show that trauma, resilience, and even memory can be passed down through generations. What the spirit realm has always known, science is just now catching up to. You didn't just inherit your ancestors' traits, you inherited their spiritual assignments. Some of them prayed for liberation they'd never see in their lifetime. And you, spirit warrior, are the answer to those prayers. You don't just fight battles for yourself. Every time you heal, you undo curses. Every time you rise, you redeem a lineage. You weren't born to fit in. You were activated to break patterns, shift dimensions, and carry out prophecies hidden in plain sight. That's why you shift atmospheres when you walk into a room. The energy shifts not because you're loud, but because your presence is loud in the spirit realm. You walk with sacred codes. Your energy reminds people of their own calling, their own truth, and their own buried power. Some are inspired by you, others are triggered. That's not your fault, it's the light you carry. Light exposes darkness, always has, always will. And when the light shows up, lies scramble, fake smiles, false narratives, surface-level conversations. They all get nervous around someone who sees beyond the veil. Here's where it gets even deeper. The war you've been fighting, those inner battles, emotional roller coasters, unexpected losses, betrayals, and delays, it's not just about you. This is a prophetic war. It's been foretold. You're not being attacked randomly. You're being targeted specifically. The enemy doesn't waste time on people who have no spiritual impact. You're not under pressure because you're weak. You're under pressure because you're powerful, and your awakening threatens the illusion that's been holding this world hostage. You've been chosen not just to survive, but to shift. That quiet voice that tells you to keep going. That's divine strategy. Every trial you endure sharpens your discernment. Every delay trains your patience. Every betrayal builds your strength. You're not breaking, you're becoming. And while others are chasing platforms and followers, your assignment is heavier. You're here to rebuild what has been spiritually torn down. Spirit warrior, you are not here to be liked. You are here to lead. Not by position, but by presence. You've been hidden, underestimated, even ridiculed. Perfect. God hides his sharpest weapons until the final act. But now, you're being activated. That constant restlessness in your soul is not confusion. It's a spiritual countdown. The world has tried to mute you, distract you, and delay you, but when the time is divine, nothing can stop the message that walks in your bones. Heaven knew your name before you took your first breath. That's not poetic flair, it's spiritual reality. Long before your parents even thought of you, before your form took shape in the womb, your purpose was already encoded in the divine. According to Jeremiah 1:5, God declared, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." You were not born by accident or randomness. You are a chosen vessel, a spirit warrior sent not just to survive, but to shift atmospheres. Everything in your life, the tears, the trials, the trauma, was not punishment, but preparation. You've been forged in fire so that you could carry light into darkness. And the world, whether it acknowledges it or not, has been waiting for you. Every setback was a setup. Every delay was divine training. You're not just a product of your environment, you're a response to it. And now, your moment has come. The mission is live. The codes have already been downloaded into your spirit. The gifts, the insight, the inner knowing, they were never random quirks. They were markers of a calling. You are not just in the world, you are sent to the world. Heaven didn't just send a message, heaven sent you as the message. You are prophecy in motion. That's why you've always felt different. That's why the noise of this world never quite resonated. You were never designed to fit in. You were built to stand apart. The war isn't on the horizon, it's already here. The battle for truth, for souls, for the very essence of love and light is unfolding every day. And you're not on the sidelines, you're on the front lines. You've been activated. So don't shrink, don't second guess, don't wait for permission. Heaven already gave you the assignment. You've been authorized by the Most High. You carry kingdom codes within you: truth, love, discernment, courage, and unwavering light. And now it's time to move, not timidly but boldly. Speak truth even when your voice shakes. Love without fear, even when hearts are hard. Forgive without conditions, even when bitterness seems justified. Shine like you're backed by angels, because you are. Chosen one, this is your era of awakening. You're not forgotten, you've been foretold. You're part of the generation that prophets spoke of, a remnant rising not with swords, but with truth that cuts deeper. You are not chasing prophecy, you are the fulfillment of it. Walk with the weight of that understanding, not burdened but empowered. You don't need a title or a robe or a platform. The anointing is in your breath. The mission is in your walk. The message is in your life. And the prophecy, it's not coming, it's already here. It has your name written across the stars, echoing through time and etched in eternity. Heaven believed in you before the world ever saw you. And now, Spirit Warrior, it's your time to rise. You are not just chosen, you are charged. You are here on purpose for a purpose.